to It's Football Time in the Bluegrass Fantasy Football Report. I am your host, the Commissioner. Let's get started. First, the Silverbacks versus the Horsemen. This had the look of a gritty NFC North showdown in December. With the Silverbacks 5-3, finding a way to get past the Horsemen 187 to 175. Despite finishing with just the 8th highest total in the league this week, Silverbacks has had some help in the standings this season. They're currently in 5th place, but ranked just 7 in total points. This was a rough one for the Horsemen, however, at 2-6. In addition to losing, they also ended up 9th in the league in points. Andy Dalton led the Silverbacks in scoring this week with 28 points despite 4 Silverback players getting injured, 2 being placed on IR. Silverbacks traded for Keenan Allen, who put up 12 points before lacerating his kidney. Next up is Kentucky Headhunters versus Betty. Betty struggled to put up points this week and lost to the Kentucky Headhunters 187 to 154. These two teams are tied for 3rd place with a 5-3 record, but it smells a little fishy as Kentucky Headhunters knows they're a much better squad, leading in total points 1,063 to 1,555. Each team fell short of expectations, but Kentucky Headhunters managed to score 86% of the projected 215 points for the win. If Kentucky Headhunters played Betty every week, then they would be 6-2 this season. But Headhunters would have beaten only 2 other teams besides Betty this week. Next up is Doomsday versus Team Walter, who can't shake their losing streak. Doomsday played out of their minds, registering the 4th highest points total this season to pass Team Walter 254 to 211. Team Walter may need a Happy Meal with some French fries to pick up their spirits after dropping their 6th straight. Team Walter put up a solid effort with a big increase in points compared to last week's 172 to 133 loss against Deep Bombers. But Doomsday, which is 6-2, remains 2nd place, and Team Walter, which is 2-6, stays in 7th place. What stinks for Team Walter, who scored 211 points and lost? It is the 6th highest losing score in the league this season. Moving on, Deep Bombers beat Sunday Survivors to capture 8th place. Deep Bombers was pretty much unstoppable, registering the 2nd highest points total in the league this week to get past Sunday Survivors 229 to 187. Sunday Survivors definitely shouldn't plan a trip to Vegas. Their luck couldn't get any worse as they are on a 3-game losing streak. Sunday Survivors had 2 players ranked highly this week. Andrew Luck scored 35 points while the Houston Texans defense put up 33. Both teams left points on the scoreboard, and this one, as Deep Bombers started 1 player with 0 points, and Sunday Survivors also served up 1. Deep Bombers 2-6 inched up to 8th place, while Sunday Survivors, that's 2-6, sinks into 9th. Finally, Troy can be infiltrated. Gods can be defeated by Titans. Tom Brady does ads for Uggs and should be made fun of. And Flip the Hooey can lose a game. Raging Falcoholics pulled off a comeback over Flip the Hooey for their 3rd straight win. And Hooey's first loss of the season. Raging Falcoholics, which is 4-4, took 1 from Flip the Hooey. 219 to 214 in a matchup with several lead changes. They were led by Matt Ryan, who had 48 points going into Sunday. Flip the Hooey got out in front 113 to 28. That advantage slipped away like a wet fish after early Sunday game, and they trailed by 2.19 points. After late Sunday's game, the lead swung back the other way to 8 points, thanks to 14 points from the Denver Broncos defense. Sunday night ended with the Raging Falcoholics on top, where they remained. Raging Falcoholics has won 3 straight games, the longest current winning streak in the league. The scary part is, Flip the Hooey had 214.6 season low score. 214 points was the season low. Ah, scary. Now for week 9 predictions. First game up will be Silverbacks versus Flip the Hui. And I feel like Hui will get back on track this week with a win. With Freeman going against San Francisco's defense, he should put up big numbers for Hui. And while Silverbacks, they've made some good pickups, it's really been out of necessity because the team's so badly injured. Silverbacks will put up strong numbers, but strong numbers for like an NAIA team, not for a D1 team. It just won't be even in the same league. It's sort of sad. Next, Betty will be versus the Horsemen, or should I say Rivers versus Chicago and Peyton versus Indy. This matchup is projected close, and I feel like it's going to come down between how well their quarterbacks play. Peyton's coming off a big win against Green Bay, showing shades of what the old Peyton used to be like. However, he's going to Indy, the house that Peyton built. And while the Colts are struggling, it's still going to be an emotional game. Now, Rivers is like a Katy Perry song. He's hot, he's cold. Yes, no, I don't know. However, I think he's going to have a big game versus Chicago, and it's going to be a tough one to pick, but I'm going to go ahead and go with my gut. Horsemen for the win. Next game is going to be between Team Walter and Kentucky Headhunters. Poor Walter is going to have another tough game for their team, and it looks like Headhunters might win by 15 points. Headhunters just has a strong, consistent team, which is hard to defeat. Walter's made some trades and put up some big numbers this week, but he's going to have another huge, he'll probably have to have another huge game from Drew Brees to find a win and break his losing streak. I'm still going to take Headhunters for the win. Sunday Survivors versus Doomsday is next up. In 9th place, Sunday Survivors has made an amazing pickup by grabbing D'Angelo Williams, who was putting up 35 and 45 points in a week the last time Bell was out. If she would have hung on to Todd Gurley at the beginning of the season, she would have probably no doubt for playoff contention. However, Gurley, whom was gobbled up by Doomsday, will be the right hooks for her team this week playing against her. And the final knockout blow will be her quarterback, Andrew Luck, going against the Denver defense, who's given up the least amount of fantasy points to any quarterback in the league. I believe I would look for a better quarterback matchup this week. I'm taking Doomsday for the win by 17 points. Lastly, we will talk about America's Game of the Week, the Raging Falcoholics versus Deep Bombers. I would always be nervous if I was a team playing Deep Bombers this late in the season. His team historically is like a snow-covered train on an icy track trying to climb a hill with no momentum. It takes him a while to get going, but when he reaches the top, it's all speed and all power, all the way to the playoffs. So I really like Matt Ryan's matchup against San Francisco. I think he will put up large numbers for the Falcoholics, more so than Big Ben against Oakland, who has been hard to deal with this year. I think this will be a close game, but I'm taking a sleeper pick this week and saying Deep Bombers will pull out a win against Falcoholics. Well, that's all for this week's episode for It's Football Time in the Bluegrass Fantasy Football Report. Thank you for watching. See you next week.